All right, good morning. My name is George Housen. I'm with Legal Aid of North Carolina. I'm one of the course planners for today's disaster relief CLE. I'd like to get started. I'm going to serve as the master of ceremonies and the timekeeper today to keep us on track. We're not going to be here all day. We're planning to do this in about 3.5 hours so that you can get on with your day. I appreciate all of you being here this morning. This is an important issue. We have a full agenda and panels that will, about 6 different panels, we have exactly 6 different panels that will discuss various issues that we will see out east. Amazingly, this disaster, Hurricane Matthew, and the subsequent flooding, very similar to what we saw in 1999 with Hurricane Floyd. This has already left the front pages, though. Maybe the fires out west have driven it off, and people have seen enough hurricanes in the last few years that they're not as interested. This is not as newsworthy. But I want to tell you that the devastation from Matthew is significantly worse than what we saw in 1999 with Hurricane Floyd. In Hurricane Floyd, we had about 55,000 houses destroyed. In Matthew, there's over about 20 to 25,000 more homes destroyed than were in Floyd. So we're almost at 80,000 in Hurricane Matthew. And of course, the area out there was already suffering economic devastation, economic decline. And so the fact of the hurricane is not helping at all. Housing needs are huge. They'll continue to be an issue in Floyd. We were involved for 3 to 5 years after the actual hurricane passed through. I think we fully anticipate that we'll be as involved now. The infrastructure needs, the housing needs. We've got about 80,000 people who've applied for FEMA. About half of those have been denied, which I'm glad you're here today. So recovery efforts are just now getting underway. The governor expects to have a special session on the 13th. I have made some requests to meet with legislators this week. I hope to lay out some of the things that we will need to assist with recovery. And there'll be a wide range of issues, from property issues, air property issues. There will be landlord-tenant issues. There will be community economic development issues. Of course, initially there will be FEMA issues. So we will have those sessions covered today. Again, I'm George Housen with Legal Aid. I'm the chief course planner. Anything that's wrong with today, we kind of did this on the fly, is my fault. You can email me and let me know how badly we did. Anything good that comes out of this, I have to give to my colleagues. Kim Bart-Mulliken, where's Kim? If you want to say a few words, Kim, you can come down. And Brooks Jaffa. Brooks has done an extraordinary job. He's with the American Bar Association, the Young Lawyers Division. They put the hotline together. I'll let them come up and say a few words. And is Sylvia? Where's Sylvia? Sylvia Novinsky from the Chief Justice's Commission. Sylvia, if you want to say a few words, you can come down. If not, that's all right. You can stay up there. Brooks and Kim.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming out today. As George said, even though the recovery efforts for Matthews may have dropped from the headlines, our efforts continue. To date, we've had nearly 200 calls on the Disaster Legal Services hotline, and they continue to come in. We appreciate all of you coming out today to learn about how to help volunteers and for volunteering to help victims who otherwise would have no other resource to turn to for legal assistance. I'd also like to thank the North Carolina Bar Association Endowment Foundation for generously providing the grant for the CLE at lunch today. Thank you very much, and we'll all learn a lot.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to share a few logistics. First, all of you should have an agenda in front of you. If you do not have one, we have plenty up at the front desk. We asked each of you to sign in and share your state bar number. The reason we're asking for that information is so that we can report back your CLE credit, whether you're a participant or a speaker in today's program. We will have a short break at 10:30, presuming that we keep ahead of schedule, although we're already about 10 minutes behind. And we also will break at noon for lunch. Lunch will be out in the Galleria. However, it is a working lunch. We have a wonderful speaker who will be joining us at noon. So please go through the lunch line, bring your lunch back here, and we will continue on with the program. We have many wonderful handouts and programs. Today, each of you was emailed a link to a box.com file. If you click on that link, you'll have access to all of the PowerPoints and many of the handouts that will be shared today. I've been updating that link all weekend long, so if the last time you looked was Friday, please refresh that view. I uploaded a few others just about 5 minutes ago. So all of the PowerPoints will be in that link. If for some reason you did not receive that link, feel free to email me at probono@ncbar.org. Thank you all for being here. I'm really looking forward to this program, and we really appreciate all of the support and assistance that you've all given to the Disaster Legal Services effort. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Kim. Yes, let's.
Can I say one thing?
Oh, Sylvia wants to say one thing.
So hi, I'm Sylvia Novinsky from the North Carolina Pro Bono Resource Center, and I just want to get a show of hands. How many of you are here as private attorneys wanting to do pro bono work? Fantastic. I just want to thank you all on behalf of Legal Aid and the Bar Association, and thank you for your service. If you have a moment, check out ncprobono.org. That lists pro bono opportunities all around the state, and this is how we are contributing as lawyers in helping with this very important issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia. And contrary to what Kim said, we're right on time with the substance. We're supposed to start right now. So the hot air section is almost done, and we're about to start. So if the FEMA people want to come down, we're going to do these in panels. All right. So I hope everyone will bear with us because we did this on the fly. Normally, the North Carolina Bar Association takes about 6 to 8 months to plan these things. I think I did this in like 45 minutes. And but we have some wonderful speakers here, some knowledgeable experts all day on this, on the various topics. And we'll get started with FEMA and FEMA assistance. On the panel, we have Leslie Albritton from Lance Greenville, Legal Aid of Greenville, in the Greenville office. Allison Everett from the Centralized Intake Unit. Hope Williams, also from the Helpline. And Graciela Zavala Garcia from FEMA, from the Office of the General Counsel. So thank you all. Before we get started, though, I wanted to just give Hazel Mack-Hilliard about a minute, Hazel, if you want to come up here, if you can make it up here. Hazel was the Legal Aid of North Carolina managing attorney out in the East when Floyd hit. And Hazel's retired, but she has agreed to come out and give us a little bit of perspective on what she saw. She was one of the major organizers of our disaster recovery effort, and I didn't ask her to prepare anything, so I kind of dumped this on her. But before we start with the FEMA, I'd like Hazel to just say a few words about.
This is one of these situations where they just will not let me out. But when George called, I have to come. I don't know what I can say. I really am interested in seeing how much things, whether things have changed a lot. But I do have some memories from Hurricane Floyd, and just as big picture points I'd like to make. This is just the beginning of this effort. It's going to take a long time to get people in any ways close to where they were before, and you can grow weary. So I say to my colleagues in legal aid and to you who are coming on board, and thank you, Private Bar, so much. You're so needed. Don't grow weary, because it's going to take some time. And, our attention span in America tends to, waver. We move on to the next thing. And this is just not one of those things. It's going to be done quickly. If you just think about it for a minute, it's been, almost a couple of months now. And just if you can think about where these people are. And that's what I would always try to keep in front of me and my colleagues when we were dealing in the midst of Floyd, is that it's really about the needs of the people we're trying to serve. And it's always about trying to figure out where are they. And think about where they are today. Some of them are still in shelters, I understand, from what I've read. A few of them are, but they're moved out to relatives or hotels or whatever. What are they doing on a daily basis? Well, the first thing they're doing is just figuring out the logistics of living. How am I going to eat, feed my children today? Will the subsidies end? How soon will that happen? They're in the midst of worry. In the midst of worry. That's where the people are. And so they haven't even thought, many of them, yet, unless it's a FEMA issue, about all the things that will impact their lives. They haven't even had time to come to grips with it. We dealt with it, many of the issues that we dealt with came much later, years later, when homeowners started realizing the impact of, we saw a lot of the bad paper really during Floyd. That's when it started really appearing to legal aid. We saw many of the people who had those loans that they'd gotten into that were going to balloon. So many issues started coming in on the people. So that they haven't even thought about yet, because they're dealing with survival on a daily basis. They're living with relatives, living in a hotel, trying to figure out, can I get my kids to school? And so one of the things that I asked about when I got this call was, how are we connected to the people? We have to put a lot of thought into, can the people get to us? Now, we're very, on a day-to-day basis, we walk around with our cell phones and we can contact people. Some of these people won't have their phones. They will not be able to afford them anymore. Some of them, so how will they gain contact? Have we thought about how they will access this? Can they get to a computer? Can they get to the hotline? These are the things that really the folks are probably in the midst of on the front end that we really have to think about. So when they finally get a call and they get through and they figured out something they need, it's imperative that we are very sensitive to where they are in their lives in terms of what our expectations will be for what they can actually do. And we have to be clear so that we don't improperly embellish the expectation of the clients as to what we can do. We need to be clear with people as to what can be done and what cannot be done. So these are some of my thoughts, and my final thoughts is that you got to be flexible. And as attorneys, we have ways of doing things. We have our way of going, checking off the list and making sure we get things done, and we want things to run on time. It won't happen. It just won't happen, people. You've got to be flexible. You've got to know that and take that feedback from the clients, and don't be afraid to improvise. And people who know me know I'm not afraid to improvise. But you just can't fear that. We have to be flexible. We have to address the needs that are in front of us. And to do that, sometimes we've got to come off that beaten path, and we've got to think about the ways to get people what they need. And so I think that's all I need to say right up front. Thank you.
Thanks, Hazel. Thank you. That's great.